thank you very much, Hamid, for being here on the show. I really do appreciate you taking out time out of your busy schedule. I know it sounds cliche, but I really do appreciate your time. I know you are very busy. And yes, welcome everyone to how to how to data. Today we'll be talking about data analytics and how to do it the right way. And I'm so excited to have Hamid Abdusalam on this call to share with us some of his experiential nuggets around how to do data analytics the right way. For many of you, it can be very daunting even getting started with data analytics. And for some of you who have already started your journey, you want to know what you're doing right, what you can course correct, and what you're doing wrong so that you can make some necessary adjustment. And lucky for you and for myself, we've got someone that is an expert in the industry. With no further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to you, Hamid, to introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, your work, your expertise, and some fun facts about you.
So, I'm Hamid Abdusalam. Thank you for having me, Joshua. It's nice to be here. So, I'm a data scientist, data analyst, and machine learning expert. So, I've been doing this for actually 8 years now. So,
Wow.
I started with data analysis. Back then, we used to have SPSS and I didn't get the time before we started
Yeah.
Python and state and all of that. So, I've been with Factual Analytics and I freelance on the other side as well. So I was at Semicolon 2 years ago as well, and I've worked with a whole lot of clients, so I can't really say what I'm saying. But at least that's me. So basically, I do data, crunch data, I do data, and outside data, I listen to news and cash flows on social media.
Amazing. Yeah, another fun fact that I think he forgot to mention is at Semicolon was where we met.
Semicolon was where we met. So
and he was the pioneer tutor for my analytics journey. So yeah, there goes it.
Definitely.
Yes. Fantastic to have you here. Really, it's been a long time coming, and I'm really excited for what you've done and the many things that you're doing, very amazing things. But yeah, you mentioned being a data scientist, being a machine learning engineer. You started out as a data analyst. But in your opinion, what does a data scientist look like? Like, who is a data scientist? What is data science?
So basically, when we're talking about data scientists, I mean, there are a lot of different definitions out there when you're talking about data scientists. But to me, I see a data scientist as someone who will understand both the data analysis part and the machine learning part of data science. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you're talking about data science, it's always in respect to machine learning, deep learning. Do you get the point? But when you're talking about data analysis, it's more of statistical area of data science. You get a point whereby you're talking about distributions that are normal, things that were within statistics. But talking about data science as a whole, we're now looking into machine learning, both the data analysis part and the machine learning part. So that's how the whole thing is. So there are a lot of nomenclatures outside there, but the best way to understand is that when you're talking about data analysis, you're talking about aspect that has to do with maybe the statistical analysis and all of that. But when you're talking about data science, I'm not going to the machine learning part, the deep learning part.
So would you say that data science is like a broader scope then? Because you've mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. Data science is like a broader scope. So most people usually start off as a data analyst. Do you get the point? That's how many of us started. You get the point when you understand how statistics works. But as time goes on, we bring in machine learning into the whole thing. You start looking at data science part. So that's where you start looking at languages like Python, R. So although you use both Python and R for data analysis, but when what people use Python for most times are maybe deep learning and advanced analytical tasks. Because I don't see rationale why you be using Python when you can easily use maybe SPSS, Excel, or startup. You get the point I'm making. But when you're thinking about data science as a whole, machine learning, that's when you start thinking of other tools that those other tools can handle, other like Python, R, and all of that. You get the point, and all of that. So to me, machine learning itself is a field on its own within data
Right.
science. You get the point I'm making. But at least when we're talking about data science as a whole, it has to do with data analysis and
Hmm.
the machine
Make,
learning part. You get the point I'm making.
yeah, that makes sense. And you did touch on data analysis. So it seems to me there is a clear distinction between data analysis and data science, even though it's like a subconstituent of data science in a sense. Yeah, and you mentioned things around statistics and the likes. So, but bringing it to a more practical context, like you already know, this is a practical conversation so that people can get the gem of what we are discussing. What would you say a data analyst do or does on a day-to-day activity basis? What do they do?
So basically, what a data analyst does on a day-to-day activity is applying statistical knowledge into bringing out insights from data. So when you're talking about a data analyst as a whole, so that's when you start thinking of somebody who is applying maybe regression techniques into bringing out insights. Somebody who is applying logistic regression, like most statistical things that are within the statistical frame. Do you get the point I'm making? Into bringing out insight from data. That's mostly what most data analysts outside there do. You get
Right.
So most of their analyses are always within the framework of distributions that follow statistical that are easily interpretable, as in can easily be interpreted. Do you get the point I'm making?
Right.
Most of these are models that are not black box. They are not models that you can't really explain their distribution. Do you get the point I'm making? When we are talking about data analysis, they're always using maybe applying models that can easily be explained, bringing out insight from data.
Wow.
So a data analyst is somebody who just applies statistical techniques into bringing out insights from data. So the statistical technique can be in form of applying it into financial or into maritime, into whichever niche, whichever area. But at least what you're doing is just applying statistical methods and bringing out insights. As far as so that then you get stuff like t-test, like the linear regression, ANOVA, whatever, like things that are within the statistical framework. They get the point I'm making. So that's what most data analysts do. What they do. So they collect data and analyze it using statistical techniques. Do you get the point I'm making? Bringing out insights. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally understand that. But now you're talking about regression and some of those things. I get that some people on this call may not really understand regression. If you want to bring it down to a more layman terms, because what I understand again as part of statistics is the fact that you can get things like central tendency or distribution, like frequency, mode, mean, median. I know some people can easily relate. So what relatable activity do you think they do in order to achieve that insight that you're talking about? Because personally, I know I started out with Excel at some point before doing the proper data analysis course. So like in a layman terms, what kind of ways does a data analyst arrive at insights generation, insights creation, whatever it is called?
Basically, like as a data analyst, right? If to bring out an insight, depending on what the objective is all about. Because what we usually look at is what is this client trying to achieve with this data. So number one, what I look at is what's the objective. So the objective will determine the appropriate statistical techniques to apply in achieving your aim. Do you get the point I'm making? Take for instance, you may want to be able to maybe estimate, maybe guess or predict or the maybe price of Bitcoin may likely be in the next couple of days. Do you get the point I'm making?
Yeah.
So in that situation, as a data analyst, what you think of is maybe time series models that can actually help you to predict the price of Bitcoin. But what if it is not a time series data? What if it's a data likely maybe data on sales or maybe data that are not time bound? Do you get the point?
Yeah, right.
So for instance, let's assume perhaps maybe you want to know the price of car given the mileage that it has covered or probably maybe giving a particular characteristics, or perhaps maybe using the height of someone, you want to predict what their age is likely to be. So that's when regression comes in. So what we usually do in regression is that we need to identify what our dependent and our independent variables are. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to use a particular variable to predict what this particular variable will be in future. That means I have to have information on, as in historical information on both variable already. Then I can use historical information
over time
to now build a model to. So for instance, if I build a model around height and age, so given the height of anybody, provided the person that I'm using, I want to predict his age is also from the distribution of those data. So I can easily predict what the age of the person will be. So do you get the point? But normally when we are predicting in statistics, it's always good to just predict a single value. That's why you always want to have a confidence interval around our prediction. So okay, fine, we're 95% sure that okay, fine, our prediction is between this so range. When people have range, you can easily know, okay, fine, my prediction can't go below this and can't go above this. Rather than just if I should give a model that predicts that your age is likely to be 30. What if your age is maybe 35?
Lesser or higher.
So it's not always good to predict, and it's just there is definitely not a single model that can actually give you an actual value, because it's a real line. Now you can even have, if it gives you 33, it can be 33.3, 30.
Yeah.
So you can have, but when you build a range around, when you build the confidence interval around the prediction, so at least I can be so sure, maybe like 95% sure that okay, fine, my prediction can't go beyond this and this. So with that range, I can now come up with an insight, like advise the stakeholders, whoever is. You get the point I'm making? So they can now go ahead and work with the range. You get the point I'm making? Rather than just working with a single value.
Specific.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a confidence level when you have a specific value. Yeah. So, but now, if someone were to, now we've had controversies, and I'm sure you are well aware. Some people would say, yeah, I prefer to use Python. Some people would say, I prefer to use R. Others would be like, Excel is enough because Excel is very broad, unless when you're working on a very huge data set, Excel is sufficient for them. They can do all the correlation, regression, and whatever model they want to do. In your opinion, what kind of skill sets should a data analyst have in order to be competitive in the landscape? What kind of skills?
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking. See, I think the mistake most people usually do is like they usually want to start with the language first. You get so, but to me, I think number one, we need to first understand the theoretical understanding of statistics important before you can even think of the language to use. However, I don't subscribe to the idea of sticking to just one language. Like, the idea of Python is the best. I learn all languages. I'm very proficient in most of these analytical languages. I know it's not going to be that easy, but there's not stopping you from laying your hands on how SPSS work, if you're a data analyst, how Stata work, how Excel works. Do you get the point? How R works, how Python works, so how SAS works. So because most of us usually do the mistake of, okay, fine, I'm only cool with SAS, and definitely you usually have a language that you are very, very good at. Do you get the point? All these languages, it's normal. But there's nothing stopping you from knowing how R and Python work, so that projects can definitely come from any of these languages. Do you get the point I'm making?
Yeah.
But because I am a freelancer, the reason I have to learn all these languages. If I'm to be working with a particular company alone and not freelancing, it will be like, okay, fine, I may just restrict myself to the language that we're using.
Exactly.
You get the point? Okay, fine, my company likes using R a lot, and maybe Azure, or maybe Power BI or Tableau. That's fine. That's what my company uses. That means I'm not working outside those languages as far as my company is concerned. But what if you are a freelancer and clients can come from any part of the world with different requirements as far as the analytic task is concerned? So you don't want to restrict yourself to only R, because if the clients should come with Python tasks, that means you won't be looking into that task because you don't know how to work with Python. But if you take your time to learn how Python, how works, how SQL works, how these languages work, then if a client should come with any of those, because let's be honest, the two major languages for data science are R and Python. So if they are not giving you tasks on Python, definitely it's likely going to be R. You get the point? Because those are the languages that are dominating those spaces. So And it's not as if it's that hard to learn these languages if you really want to take time to learn them. So it's not about me. I don't really join the debate of how is better, Python is better, because it all depends on what the client, it all depends on what the client is looking for. You are working for the client, not what you think is better. There are some spaces whereby you do, there are some companies whereby you do what they use is R. So if they are giving you tasks to do, that means you must know how to work with R. And there are some people who put Python for them because they've worked with Python in other areas, so it's easy for them to use it in analytics. They get the point I'm making. So you just have to make sure you learn these languages that are common in analytics, so that at least you don't restrict. Because I started using R a lot. At the point in time, SaaS was coming, because when I was freelancing, there were a lot of tags that were coming from SaaS, mostly from the United States clients from the US. So you look at the tags and you're like, I'm not a SaaS person. I don't know how to use SaaS. These way back 2017, 2016. I don't know how to use SaaS. I'll just close the door. So the other day I said, okay, these tags are just coming. SaaS every time, SaaS. Am I supposed to be closing the door to SaaS every time? Let me learn how this SaaS works. Funny enough, it's not. It's just something that has to do with procedure. So these are how this thing work, and I've been doors on how. So I started accepting tags, and today, any tags that come from SaaS, I can really. So it's not about just saying I want to learn only. Do you get the point? I mean, just take the time, learn all these languages, and start looking for opportunities. Anyone that comes, you answer them. Do you get the point?
So you would go for, I think you said a lot, and it's very exciting to hear what you said around not, I think at the end of the day, it's being tools agnostic. It's more like being a data analyst mentally, understanding the fundamentals like statistics, as you've mentioned. Then as per task or as per requirement, you can now pick up a new language, a new tool, as long as, so you just take them as tools in your toolbox. So if you need to be able to,
they are just tools in your toolbox. So you can use. There are some clients, you don't really come with any language. They just want to solve a problem. So you can pick any tools you want to use. But there are some clients that are specific. I want you to only use in Python. Some will even give you an alt tax, and they want you to convert it down to Python tax. But in that situation now, you must know how to work around those two languages for it to be able to. You get the point I'm making. So the idea of saying, I'm just focusing on Python. You are just restricting yourself. You get it? Because money can come from any angle. You get the point I'm making. So you start with how. At the point in time, maybe after a while in your journey, you learn Python as well. But if you are starting with Python, as time goes on, learn how to work with tags. So also SaaS, a lot of client work come from SaaS too. SaaS is open source, it's not as popular as other language, but there are a lot of clients. If you freelance, you get exposed to a lot of clients. So that's just.
To be honest, I'm not very familiar with SaaS, but you've described my journey in a little bit of context. Like I initially started out with MATLAB. Funnily enough, I started out with MATLAB for my undergrad project. And then I went into SPSS for some little analytics and statistics, of course. Then before I went into R proper, that was where I started doing data analytics core. Then moved into Python, and then started using Excel. So you can imagine some people start with Excel. But the point I'm making is that over the years, I've realized that it doesn't matter what tool it is. It's about the objectives, like you said. The objectives, what is needed, what kind of insights are you trying to get at the end of the day? And then what tool can help you arrive there? So there were some tasks that I was doing to make say visualization, for instance. For me, it was easy to use Python to visualize. Use matplotlib, all of these libraries in Python were helping me to create beautiful visualizations. But there are times when I had to learn Power BI in order to do some high-level complex visualization that if you want to convert that into lines of code, it's like a whole Jupyter notebook to be able to do that. And currently, just recently, I've just done some task in my office, and that was on Tableau. So I needed to interact with a real-life application and fetch data in real time to create the report. And I thought to myself, I wouldn't want to go and whip up Jupyter notebook or anything, because I need to serve that data back on that application, So I used Tableau to do that. It was easy for me to make the data connection, make the data model.
Tableau has a way of connecting down to the database and stuff.
Exactly, directly into the database. As things are changing, you are getting live reports. So it boils back to saying it's more about knowing data analytics in its core then tools can come in wherever you need them to.
You get the point. That's the point I'm making. But the mistake a lot of people usually make is like they want to start up with the tools, then going back to, you get the point. You see guys, I want to say, okay, I want to learn data analytics with Python. No,
Yeah.
you don't, I want to learn data analytics with you don't just specify with just start with data analytics, understand the theoretical part, then the computational part, then pick languages you think you can start with. Then you get the point I'm making. But what's the goal of starting with? What's the essence of starting with Python? Or at the end of the day, you can't really interpret maybe a p-value or maybe a slope.
Yeah.
Because these are questions that the recruiters may likely ask you when you screening. Do you get the point I'm making? Some of them, they may want someone that is proficient with R or Python, but it goes beyond just languages. They want to, do you understand the core of this analytic of a thing? Like, can you really interpret a simple regression results? You get the point I'm making?
Yeah.
And that's the mistake a lot of guys are making when they are just coming up. They just want to start with two first before going into the theoretical. Whereas you have to start with the theoretical part first, understand how these techniques work, then pick a language, computational part, any language you feel you are comfortable for a start, for the computational part of it. Then you can start using that. You get the point I'm making?
Yeah, because I remember
at the end of the day, the interpretation, the results is the same across all languages. It's just the technique that differs.
Yep.
What you get as far as data is concerned, what you get as output in Python is what you get in R. The slope and the coefficient, all of them will still be the same. So it just boils down to that's where the interpretation, the theoretical part, understanding now matters, where you have to interpret the whole thing. You get the point?
Yeah, like I was saying, I remember back then when you were. So the reason why I said my journey of data analytics started with you was not because I did not have insight into, like I said, I've done MATLAB before, SPSS. But why I said it started with you is because you emphasized the need for understanding core fundamentals in data analytics beyond teaching R, beyond teaching whatever else we can use. It's about understanding like the hypothesis testing, the chi-test, ANOVA t-test, p-value. So understanding how to make that descriptive analysis, understanding the statistical part of things is really fundamental. Yeah.
Even when you even move beyond data analysis, when you start doing this machine learning and deep learning of everything, you start seeing the importance of those basic knowledge. Just like someone wants to do deep learning now. If you want to be truthful to the person, you have to let the person know, okay, fine, go and pick a book on matrix, then how calculus work.
Yes.
So that you can be able to understand algorithms, descent, all those things.
Yes, great.
But if you just go into deep learning or machine learning, at the end of the day, whatever they will do, it will just be like shorthand, because they have the fundamental theoretical. Do you get the point? And I think that's what will differentiate you from other data scientists out there, because you can really, when you see any data science articles or work, you can really relate to them because you understand how the fundamentals work
under the hood.
Do you understand? Rather than just seeing codes on Stack Overflow or just seeing codes online and just putting your data and just prove. At the end of the day, you don't know how this model
it happened.
It happened. Do you get the point?
Yeah, because now what you said just struck a string with me, because when I started learning machine learning, I had to pick up a book about machine learning to understand the fundamentals, because without that you're just going to go with libraries like sklearn, for instance, scikit-learn kit. You have everything there. You have your regression model, you have every model. You don't know how they came about.
That's what's funny thing about these languages.
And you come out and say you're a machine learning engineer, but you don't know how any of this model works.
You don't know how random forest work. You don't know how SGPs work. You don't know how decision tree work.
SVM. You don't know.
So you don't know how these things work. And then they just end up saying, okay, fine, I'm a data scientist, because we've taken a course on Udemy on how machine and those ones will just show you the computational part of it.
sklearn, TensorFlow.
That's why I do advise guys to please take sometimes learn how regression basic work in statistics, how all these fundamentals work. That's why most times when I'm training folks, I usually lay emphasis on the theoretical part of it, because to me that's what makes this thing easy for me a bit. Not even because I study statistics undergraduate and postgraduate, do you understand? But because of the fact that I feel when you understand, even if I don't study statistics at both undergraduate and postgraduate level, I still feel if I'm coming from the angle of maybe an engineer or something, I'll still have to go and take courses in statistics, in probability, hypothesis, and all of that to be able to understand how these things work. Because going straight to the languages, at the end of the day, you just become frustrated. But a lot of guys that will do data science, at the end of the day, spend a whole lot of thousands of pounds on all these things, still end up being empty. Like, what did I know? You get the point I'm making? Because they didn't really study these things the way it should be done. Do you get the point I'm making? So to me, rather than just going to learn Python, why not take a course on statistical learning on maybe for a couple of months? You know that you have understood the basic. There are free resources on these things online. You understand? Even the mathematics part of it, there are a lot of websites that will teach you all these things free of time.
Please, if you can share those, it will be very helpful. I can add it to the description of this stream for whoever is interested.
So those are stuff that I think people should learn. Then once they understand how basic those things are, it's not as if you must learn all of statistics. It's not possible. But at least understand the fundamentals, like maybe regression. When it comes to time series, learn the moving average, you understand the basic models and all these things. So that when you're looking at the advanced part of it, when you start learning, it won't be like you won't be new to all these things. You understand how these things work. Do you get the point I'm making? Because the programming languages will not teach you, they will just give you the results.
Yeah.
But when you know how these things work theoretically, you can now interpret them. Do you get the point? How it was this? Because the CEO doesn't understand p-value, all of them, but the theoretical part of it will let you know how to communicate the results to the stakeholders in a layman terms. Get the point? In a way that, okay, fine, everybody will be able to understand how it goes. Do you get the point I'm making? So the theoretical part matters a lot to me than just going to the software.
Thank you very much, Hamid. I think one thing that you've said that has resounded through everything you said right now is about data analytics being that driver for insight generation, and you should be able to tell the right story. But if you are focused too heavily on the tool and not understanding how it actually works, you really can't tell the right story. You are just representing what the code has generated. You cannot say why. You cannot even say what it means. Okay, you get a p-value of 0.5. What does that mean? You don't even know how that impacts on the business.
Or you do something like standard error, you can't really understand, mean square error, or you don't even understand how to come up with mean absolute error. All these metrics that we use in evaluating models. Or you know, it's just like, okay, fine, this definitely, at least you may not end up calculating it yourself every time, but at least understand how it works.
Why, and how it applies.
You understand what I'm saying? The softwares are there to do all these calculations for you, just within a second. But at least understanding how these things are done will make your life easier. So that when you are reading any journals or any material on the web, you can easily relate to them when they are talking in terms of those. Because most of all these journals, they just go straight to the point. They don't. But once you understand the theoretical part, you understand what they are saying, and you can really maybe work on them. And you get the point I'm actually trying to make. Anyway, it's all about approach. You understand, to all these things. So a whole lot of people just want to start, and there's this mistake most people usually make, like. I don't know, there are a lot of guys outside there that will tell you that they want to teach you data analysis within maybe 6 weeks, 4 weeks. These guys are not helping matter. I don't know. It's because of the fact that a whole lot of people really want quick knowledge. I don't know, maybe how will I put this? Like anybody that will tell me that he wants to teach me how to do data analysis within 4 weeks.
Is it possible?
It's impossible, brother.
Come on.
These are something that people went to university to study for like 4 years, 3 courses to learn how to correlation work, how this is work. So someone wants to teach you within 4 weeks and you want to master. So to me, people need to, at least if you want to do any course on data analysis, at least not a minimum of 12 weeks, 3 months, at least get started with these things. You understand? Like a good 3 months, solid 3 months, every week, daily, weekly basis, learn how these things work. Not that somebody will come from nowhere and say we become a data scientist within 4 weeks, within 2 weeks. Even the 3 months, to me, is just because at least you just want to start with it. But at least just let it be not minimum of 12 weeks. At least a single semester. Do you get the point I'm making? You understand what I'm saying?
You want to do crash course, 2 days crash course.
All these crash courses are not helping matters. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, you do 4 weeks. At the end of the day, you are going back to square one because you don't even understand. And the guy has collected money, he has
Yeah,
move to another
jackpot.
client, go to jackpot, yes, go to another. Do you get the point I'm making? Leaving people
Mm,
unfulfilled. People are just roaming up and down, not. In fact, you spend 3 months with some people, they still don't understand. Talk less of just
yeah,
spending. Do you get the point I'm making?
yeah,
So
true,
that
true.
those things are not really helping. So
Mm,
people should be careful about just learning data science. They want to become data analyst within short period of time. No, it takes years. Some of us, it takes us so many years to get to where we are today. We didn't just
mm.
get here like just doing
Poof.
class work. A lot of,
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
So it's just, that's
So
why I do tell folks, just give yourself a whole lot of time. Learn this thing. You are going to give yourself a whole lot of a single year, whatever year you want to give yourself, just master this thing. There are jobs outside there, definitely, but don't rush. Master this.
mm,
When you get this job and you are not capable, you are still, it will still affect your, you
very
get
true.
it?
Very, very true. You know what you said is very valid because some people rush, gather knowledge, and rush into the industry. So you may have all the certification, and when you get into the industry, my brother, things will come at you that will test your basic understanding of that industry.
You get the point I'm making.
So,
That's the
and
point.
this is something that has happened to me countless times. Like I've just mentioned in passing that I was doing something around Tableau, and that's because I had mentioned that I was a data analyst in my resume, although I work as a product manager. If I had lied about it and my boss sort of approaches me, oh Josh, I know you work in data analytics and blah blah blah, and we would like you to just do this for the department. How do I defend myself at that point to say, oh, I actually did a course, but I have forgotten because I have not been doing, it doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't really make any
But
sense.
but if you are going to learn something, I think the best thing to do is to learn it the right way. And like you have said, give yourself time. But in putting it into more practical steps, what advice would you give someone that probably does not have a year to put into data analytics? You just maybe hypothetically speaking, what would you tell them to do aside from the fact that yeah, they need to learn the fundamentals? How do they start learning that fundamentals and ensure that they are keeping at it? Because to be honest, I don't know if it happens to anyone else. If I pick up a tool today, there was a point where I was learning Scalar, but because I've not been using Scalar for a while, I forget everything I've learned about Scalar. So if someone is picking up data analytics and learning all of the statistics, how do they go about it the right way and make sure that they don't forget everything? At least they don't forget the fundamentals that they need to be successful.
So basically, I think that's a very good question. But to me, I think it's more of practicing what you've learned anyway. So when you're learning this and you don't like you said, if you have a language and you're not so good, you're not using it constantly, you may end up forgetting most of
Yep.
this. So what I usually do is like, if you have, let's say you have 6 months to spare and you want to learn this thing, even if you've done the theoretical parts, you've learned maybe correlation, regression, or basic things in data science and all of that. At least what you just need to do is just lay your hands on data yourself, like practicalize this thing. There's nothing bad in having, what I usually advise guys is like, share your page, whatever you've done. Always make sure that you have a page, maybe a Medium page or Outpop or something. Just post whatever you think you've done. Put it on. That will always push you to do something.
Right. Accountability.
And yes, now those platforms are free. You get the point. And there's nothing bad in having YouTube channel if you have time. Because when you learn something and you want to put it on the web for people to impart the knowledge, that means you have to be so sure of whatever you want to put on the web. Do you get the point? So it's a way of it has to do with the individual. Do you get it? Because when most of us when I started learning app, was it not 2016 when I started doing apps as in strongly, like 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, about. Then it's not as if there's any school, there's any place we went to directly to learn these things. It's just textbooks on the web, short videos, tutorials here and there. But it's not as if it's not as if I'm looking towards getting job instantly. Like I just read this thing. What's so special about this language that guys are not talking about like analytical, like our colleagues in data analytical language app. So I learned it, even though just not a great number of people were talking about it then, but at least it has started gaining momentum. But what we usually do is that whenever I learn a new concept, I want to apply it. I have a site then that will publish these stuff on ggplot, tidyverse, all these basic things. Okay, if I've learned stuff on tidyverse today, I want to
Yeah.
create tutorial around it. So
Wow.
my way of creating content on it, those knowledge stick more. Yeah, the point I'm making. And I just learning it, that okay, I've learned tidyverse. Let me just put this thing aside. I may come back to it after 3 months and start learning it again and not knowing. But if I've created the content around it, no way, at least I'll still always have, or there'll still always
Yeah.
be, you get the point,
Reference.
reference. Okay, fine, these are these things work. So see the point you get that project or contact, like maybe you get hired for a client or something, always try to push whatever you've learned on the web. And there are a lot of free platforms as well, like I said, Medium. You can create a YouTube channel, whatever you think, like pass your message. You can create LinkedIn content. Some of us, I usually wish I have that time to create content again, like I used to do back then, but that time we don't do anymore. But at least you can always have a chat, like that's what I will surely get back to. Maybe I'll be have YouTube channel very soon, something. At least just true. But you can always create content around all these stuff, let people learn, so that at least from there you can get hired. You can at least meet guys who really have interest in whatever you are doing. Because that's what I usually tell my students. There's a platform, Outpost. Whatever project I'm giving you, I want it to be on the web there. Share it. So that will serve as portfolio in one way or the other. Because when you start freelancing, what clients want to see is that what have you done in the past?
Yep. Absolutely.
You understand? So whatever you planned whatever I gave you as an assignment, and you put it in form of project, put it on the web, let it be part of your CV or your portfolio, so that then you can make reference. So that I will know, okay, whatever you're making reference to, and it's solid on the web. So people can look at it, okay, fine, this guy is capable. Because what actually helped me then when I started freelancing was things I'm putting on the web, like things I can make reference to that
portfolio.
I did that, and it pays a lot. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just the point there.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Hamid. On that matter, I think for me, I went the route of creating a podcast to stay accountable. So in 2020, when I decided to pick up data analytics proper, I created this podcast, Journey of a Budding Data Scientist, right, where I shared a lot. I had over 20-something episodes over the years where I share things about data science, statistics, machine learning, visualization. As I'm learning them, I ruminate over them and reproduce the content. And it's amazing how you begin to see the knowledge gaps you have when you're trying to reproduce what you've learned. You now realize that, so I didn't even understand this the way I thought I would. And now I'm understanding it even better because I'm sharing it with others. And then it keeps the momentum going, because it's like you've given yourself an accountability partner, being the online audience. So every month you want to share something, and so you have to go back and learn. So when you're tired, because you can get demotivated very easily.
I don't want to share something that you are not so sure of.
Exactly.
So you understand that the criticism will be that much. So you want to be so careful about whatever you want to be sharing. Do you get the point I'm making?
Absolutely.
So I think that part of it will also help people. Like those projects should not just be sitting on your desktop. Like put it on the web, share it up, let people read about it. There was a day I was looking at Medium, was in a couple of, because I was going through a project. I was looking at the project around Bitcoin and all of that, and like it's more of a trading stuff, applying machine learning and deep learning. And I saw a content on Medium. I was like, wow. And if I should see this, if you should be looking at this from the angle of text, but the way the person shares it, and it's more explanatory. So I think it's all about, there are a lot of content on the web that you can. So to me, when you have content, share it on the web, let people learn. Without you yourself will be fine. You be accountable, and at the end of the day, other people also gain from. And who knows? You can, at least you can get gig from there. Because I remember my first gig in live, my first gig was as a result of what I published on the web. The guy sent me content, send me a message. That was how my freelance journey started. I never knew there's huge amount of money in freelance.
Please share some money, but
that's the point I'm making. So it's more of, if I didn't put my tax out there, I'm not likely get the message, and the person may likely not get in touch with me. Like, so the guy just, okay, fine, I read this. I think, can you freelance? Can you do this? Okay, fine. The project started coming. Before you know, I started getting about freelancing work.
Wow.
You get the point I'm making. So always put tax out there. We don't know who is with it. You get the point.
Right, that's very, very, very helpful, Hamid. I really appreciate that. Just to put it to those that are listening, if you've got any questions, please put in the chat. If you're listening on from LinkedIn, Facebook, And if you're live on this Zoom call, you might as well just put in questions in the chat and I'll read them out for Hamid to answer. But yeah, final thing from my own end here is, if somebody is starting and has taken the advice, gone to all the websites, maybe the ones you'll be sharing on, later on, that I can share with the audience, maybe places they can read about data analytics concepts and fundamentals. And now they've committed, say, 3 months to learn that. And they want to now start getting some, aside from generating portfolio like you've advised, they want to also be in the industry. How are they supposed to go about doing that? Because sometimes internship, in fact, can be very difficult to get into if you don't have experience in some way. So what would you advise people to do? Now they've spent 3 months going to read and practice what they've learned. Now they are ready to launch into at least starting to get some experience, some knowledge. What would you tell them to do?
That's also a good question. I must admit the competition outside there's extreme so much, like a whole lot of, because most people now see that they find there's kind of fun in this data whatsoever that we are doing. So a lot of people are learning this, a lot of people are looking for internship opportunities and all that. So to me, when you are done learning and you want to start the whole thing, reach out to organizations for internship opportunity. Sometimes it may not be paid opportunity. What you're looking for is just opportunity.
Right.
They get the point, just to build your portfolio, your CV. So what I will do if I should finish learning and all of that, just to reach out to companies and ask them if I can work for free for a couple of months, just to see how they work, gain practical experience. And what I usually also do tell guys is also, if you know you have mastered whatever you've learned in a couple of, why not? I like introducing folks into the opportunities that are in freelancing as well, because to me that's the easiest route. You can easily make funds if you are not looking for paid job, like being employed easily. You get the point I'm making? Because while waiting for companies to hire you, you can by the side like make funds from freelancing as well. Why do that to keep yourself busy? You get the point I'm making? So what I do advise for is like, okay, fine, while you are reaching out to companies, also look out for opportunities in data analytics, data science, that are freelance opportunities that are out there. And there are a lot of platforms on the web also that you can easily get opportunities of freelancing. Once you abide by the rules and regulations, there are a lot of clients that are now recruiting from Nigeria, Africa as well, that are looking out for guys that are very good at what they do. So to me, it's not, even while freelancing, there's so much competition as well. To me, it's still about just reaching out to people. To get the point I'm making. So at that stage, the first 3 months in freelancing, what you should be looking for is just practical experience. But when I started freelancing, I was just to build that portfolio. I was just really charging a very small amount of money then, just so that I can.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good strategy.
Yeah, that's a good strategy just for people to okay, fine. Because one thing about freelancing that I keep talking about is like folks want to see what you've done in the past. You get the point I'm making. And want to see people's comments, previous clients' comment on your profile. So what I was doing then was just for me to just work for like maybe a very small amount of USD, so that I can get good feedback from clients. That way now, those good feedback will influence future projects. So when you're starting as a newbie in the industry, the money should not be the priority. Like how to make it should not be the priority.
Yeah.
The priority at that particular time is just how to build your portfolio, how to have a kind of rating that is so big, so that at the end of the day you are not the one that will start looking out for a job. It will be the job that will start looking out for you.
Wow.
Because when you build that portfolio to that level, the job will start coming, even when you're not making very big efforts. You get the point.
Wow. That's a lot. That's really helpful, because I have not really considered, to be honest, I've not considered doing freelancer as someone that has just started their journey and reducing price. I think that's a wonderful strategy.
It's a very dominated area. If you increase your price as a newbie, when guys that are there
Yeah.
are not ready for you to. You are competing with the OGs, guys that
Yeah.
have with 8 years experience in this thing, with
Yeah.
2 years, and you are just coming and you want to charge the same price with them because they are. Well, it's not done anywhere. You get the point I'm making.
I
So
get.
because those guys too, they didn't start like that. They had to lower their
Grow up.
price just to. You get the point I'm making. So what you are looking for at that moment is just feedback. Let guys, you get the point. Let guys say, okay, fine, you've done so project before,
Fraction.
and just so what you're looking for is just positive feedback. So not to stop you for working for maybe something as low as maybe 40, 50 years, just to get started. So as soon as you've done a couple of small gigs and you've lay your foot is now there, then you can now start increasing your hourly
Your
rate or
fee. Wow.
yeah, the point I'm making. Do you
Yeah,
get the
that makes
point?
sense. That makes sense. That makes
There's
sense.
always bias anyway to us. No, now
Yeah, I
young
get.
guys are just they are
You
like
just started.
they look at it. Clients look at them like this guy will you be able to do it? But if you lower your price, and they consider it based on the price.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Fantastic. So while we're on the matter, someone asked in the chat that what is the pay like in the industry, in the data industry? What is it like?
I think it's all about it boils down to country. Anyway, the median salary over there is boils down to country. You can't compare the median salary of the data scientist with somebody in the US or in Australia or something like that. But at least the pay is it's something that at least you can feed your family with it.
Amazing.
That's what I can say. At least it's like the creative industry, let's be honest. But the pay boils down even within the country itself. It depends on the organization you are working with. You understand?
Right.
The organization is different pay structure. So I can't really say, okay, fine, this is how much you can earn here or something like that. I can say just like it's very lucrative. You get the point of it. So it's the country you are looking at and where you are looking at opportunity at. You get the point of it.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I know this kind of things vary, but you've hit the nail on the head. It's a lucrative field. And it is in high demand. A lot of people are rushing into it. Whether they are all professionals or not is up for debate, but a lot of people certainly are rushing into data analytics space.
A whole lot of people, it's a space that is getting extreme. Like there are opportunities there, but a lot of guys are a whole lot of graduates every year in Nigeria across the world for opportunities that is so it's highly competitive. So that means you yourself you have to be very competitive, right? You must be learning every day. Like,
every day.
You understand? Because if you just misguide, a whole lot of guys are able to be like it.
Right. Yeah, fantastic. So I think the other thing someone put in the chat was with respect to the materials that you want to share. If you don't mind sharing some of those like resources, I mean to say like websites where to learn data analysis.
I'll send that to you later. Then you can.
Yeah. So
I have to go and check a lot of platforms.
That would be great. That would be great. And where they can also share their knowledge. You've mentioned Medium in passing. If you have a list of other places.
Yeah, you can share your knowledge on Medium. For our users, it can be our pops.
Right.
So okay.
Yeah, you could share. You could share those platforms with me, and I will share it with them. So platforms for where they can learn about data analytics concepts and the fundamentals. Then where they can also share those knowledge as a way of getting some visibility and keeping themselves accountable. That would be really helpful for the audience. And I know I didn't want to take too much of your time today because this is part 1. Part 2, we're going to be focusing more around the actual activities that happen in the industry. We'll be talking more around the current trends, whether there's maybe if there's an overhype in data analytics, the whole things around the changes coming to data science due to AI and all that. I know that will be an interesting conversation to be had, and what the future trends are going to be, like the future forecast for data analytics, because you can agree with me that there are a lot of things happening with AI and machine learning, and even in that career space, AI is taking dominance. It's kind of counterintuitive. You are creating what will take over your career.
Look at ChatGPT, no?
Yeah. So. And there are many more that will be coming up, that will be unboxed in the near future. So
if you are not so careful, AI may replace you like Take over your job, take over, make you
Yeah.
redundant. You get the
Yeah.
point. So everybody's scared now, like, man, maybe they will come. Maybe they will come here, we start doing data science.
Exactly. So that would be a fantastic. So this is just like a teaser for our part two, where Hamid will be sharing his experience and his thoughts. And like I said, it's an opinion, right? It doesn't have to be absolutely right. It doesn't have to be wrong,
Yes,
but it is exactly what he feels from his experience, and would love to dig into that. So that will be in the second part of data analytics and how to do it right. But in the meantime, I've seen that there are no more questions. I'm just gonna check for one more minute to be sure before, because I've had experience where we end the stream and then the questions keep trooping in. But yeah, in the meantime, there are no questions. I At this point would just like to thank you so much for coming on this show, Hamid. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and seeing you after a very long time.
thank you
Uh,
very much, Joshua.
yes, and so I will be looking forward to having the second part of this chat with you. And to our audience, thank you very much for listening in. Thank you for those that are online on the live podcast. Thank you for joining. And until next time, please keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Bye, everyone.